I'm so happy to be here. I'm trying not to levitate out of my seat, but this feels so good. Allie, thank you for grounding me. But again, if I do levitate out of my seat, it's because I am so happy. How are you guys doing today? I know we're on Zen mode, but I need a little more than that. How are you all doing today? That was good, right, Tiff?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Tiff knows how to get a party started, so I'm taking some Tiff tips.
I love them. I love it.
Those are cute, right? All right, so in honor of International Women's Day, we are all gathered here for Aerie's first AerieREAL Summit, and we're going to keep it very real today. We're going to have honest, riveting conversations that entertain and enlighten. I want all of us to walk away with some actionable steps. I don't want this to just be us talking. I want us to walk out of here talking, doing, and sharing. Can we agree? Yeah. You already know the hashtag, so tweet it up, Instagram it up, TikTok it up. Do whatever is up next. What's up next? Y'all know. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Rick Rock, I don't know. Just do all of that and then some. Okay. So the first question is an easy one. I mean, we're celebrating phenomenal women around the globe. We have a panel filled with phenomenal women. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to speak to you about one thing you each love about yourself and one thing you each love about the work that you're doing.
Let's just get into it.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Lana.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the first one to speak.
You're the first one. Set it off, Lana. Let's do it.
What do I love about myself?
Yes.
I love that. Okay.
Feel free to say two things also.
Okay. This might sound odd, but I'm really good at like resting. Like I can work really hard, but I can also relax very hard as well. And I think like my mom says it's kind of like sometimes you're so hyperactive that you don't know how to stop.
Right.
And that you can burn out with that so quickly.
That's true.
And so I've learned to be a really good rester. And I think, yeah, that's something that I like about myself.
I was on your, I think your Twitter or your Instagram the other day, and you were talking about staying in bed and watching Scandal and eating fried chicken.
Yes.
And I was like, I love her.
Exactly. Yes.
One thing, tell me that you love about the work that you're doing. And if
So-
you don't know, she has an amazing hit series on Netflix. So,
To All the Boys I've Loved Before,
To
only on
all-
Netflix. The best part about doing these movies is that, like when other women come up to me and share their story and say how they feel like they were seen in the movies, and then they come up and they tell me their story about their childhood or what it was like for them in high school or what it was like for them, you know, finding love in their first love. And so that's been the greatest part of it all, just to connect more and to hear everyone else's different like life, and it's just awesome. So that's my favorite part. And then I don't know, I like to make people believe in love and laugh, you know. But here's the thing though, some people are like, Lana, are you funny? And I try to keep convincing them that I am, so that I'm like, if I have to convince someone that I'm funny, does that actually mean I am or not, you know? But yeah, I just like to make people laugh.
You are funny. Okay. Tiff, tell me one thing you love about yourself and one thing you love about the work that you're doing.
I think the one thing I love about myself is the thing that I used to try not to do, is how I stand up and speak out for things. That is something that is something I really do accept about myself now, so I love it now.
Were you reluctant to do that in the past?
Of course. I just thought it was just like, oh, I wish I was more like subdued and I didn't really like speak out so much, and like, you know, I could be quiet or whatever. And now I'm just like, no, like if I have something to say, I will say what I feel like I need to say, and if it affects the world or the women around me, I'm gonna say it.
Fantastic.
And I also love my resilience. That's something that I really do, I'm appreciative of. Something I love about the work that I do is I just love seeing people dance. I love seeing people happy through music and movement. That makes me so happy.
Tiff, you made me so happy the other night at AerieREAL dinner. When I tell you she played the hits, I dropped it like it was hot.
Yep.
Barely picked it back up. And then try to drop it again. You played the hits. Thank you for that. I mean,
Thank you.
music is such a universal language,
It is.
and it is one way to unite people.
Yeah.
I know you are the, let me get this title right because it's a lofty one, Madison Square Garden's resident DJ, the first Black woman to hold this position. Fantastic.
And the first woman. So, yeah. Thank
And
you.
the first woman.
And she's so good. Anna came to a game the other night and we bumped into each other and I was like, ah! Everyone at the garden was like, how do you know her? I was like, because we AerieREAL models. You ain't see us on the billboard? Like, come on.
You on in Times Square?
No, and I love it. And just to see her there was so much fun. And she was like taking Instagram videos of me and it's just a great time. I love that. I love using music movement and then tying that into meditation. It's my thing.
And you energize everyone. Like, you have just an amazing ability to just, like, push energy into people, and I just love it. Like, I was just sitting there like, oh, this is perfect.
And that was your first game, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, see, so sisters.
Sisters.
But yeah.
I love all this
I
love
receive
on
it.
the panel. Isn't it fantastic? All right. Dre, talk to me about the one thing you love about yourself and the one thing you love about the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I think this has always been like a difficult question for myself. I
Really?
think
Why?
as I'm growing, I'm starting to, like Tiff kind of said already, reevaluate who I am and the things that people did not like about me, I started to not like about myself too. But one thing I'm learning to love more about myself is that I really love encouraging people. You know, I call myself a CEO, but I consider it as a chief encouragement officer. And it just...
Oh, you all better hashtag that.
Hashtag, take it for yourself, like it's not mine. But it really like brings me joy to refresh people and lift people up. And I think that goes into the work that I get to do with working with young girls, you know, getting to lift their heads and encourage them, you know, because sometimes people can go all day without getting an encouraging word or even a smile. Hence, smile on me. So I think that's something I really enjoy doing. Another thing I really love about myself is my weirdness. That's something I really had to like reevaluate and take hold of. Like, I'm a very weird person.
What does that
I
mean
love
exactly?
You know, like I love shopping at Duane Reade. Like I do like weird stuff. It's therapeutic. It's therapeutic. You know, I talk to myself a lot and answer myself. But yeah, so like just like owning that and like being proud of like the person I am.
Oh my God, I do the exact same thing, so team weird. Brianne Delgado, we started having our conversation in the green room and they had to pull us out here. Talk to me about the one thing you love about yourself and the work that you're doing. And by the way, just so you know, Smile on Me Rewind is dedicated to helping young girls navigate adolescence. Yes, all right.
That's my friend.
And, aren't friends good? Good cheerleaders, yes. And Brianne, you're co-founder of the Women's March and founder of Stir the Nation, which is an organization dedicated to using food to make this world a better place.
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me about what you love about yourself and your work.
I love that I'm a chef. There's not a lot of women chefs. Less than 7% of restaurants are led by women, which is crazy, especially when you think about New York City. Here in New York City, it's a food capital of the world, and to not have women really leading the charge, we still have a lot of work to do. But we're celebrating that today. But one of the things I really have been on a journey with myself and my cooking is being able to nourish myself through my own food. When cooking becomes your career, it's very easy to be in this mentality of always giving your art away to other people. And when you cook, you really are giving away like part of your soul. And it's wild, that process. It's such a fulfilling, satisfying process. It's why people, who works in the food industry, by the way? Server, busser, yeah. Raise your hand if you are, yep. 50% of Americans do at some point in their lives, and it's usually their first job. There's no shame in that at all. But to be able to give myself that same nourishment through food and being able to just use it as a creative outlet for myself instead of going into that work mode of, okay, this is for something, or this is, for a restaurant or what have you. to be able to just cook a nice meal for myself is really a beautiful thing. And it's really great too, after a long, stressful day, to be able to just pour my heart into the kitchen, right?
What's your best dish?
Oh, that's like asking me my favorite child. That's not fair.
Okay.
It's all on the mood. It all depends on the mood.
Okay.
But
No pressure. I'll circle back. I'm going to let Molly get you off the hook.
But one of the things that I think I really love about my work too is being able to inspire and empower young women, especially, to be able to create change. I mean, I'm a chef from Detroit, Michigan. I moved here, yes, Detroit. I moved here 10 years ago, and I really just took a risk on saying, okay, if I want to be a chef, I have to go where it's at, and I know it's expensive here, but I got to figure it out. And so many of us take that risk when we are pursuing our careers. So to be able to have been on this journey where I found myself making history with mobilizing 7 million women 3 years ago, it's just such a powerful thing. And I love being able to speak to young girls and say, you know what? If I can do it, you can do it too. It just takes one person to be able to light that match and be able to light the fire inside of you to be able to say, you know what? My voice does matter. I can create change. I can make a difference in my community, and it starts small. So I love being able to have those conversations, especially through food, because, you know, why not?
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Molly Burke is in the house.
I believe Gallup is actually last on the panel.
Oh.
He has a lot to say on the topic.
Okay.
He also loves how good he is at resting. So I really love that I've trained myself to be an optimistic person. And I say trained myself because 12 years ago I was suicidal. And so people always comment on my social media and they're like, I wish I could be as positive as you. And I'm like, you can. I wanted to kill myself 12 years ago. You know, this isn't who I was. But I trained my brain to stop looking at everything as a negative and start seeing everything as a positive. And so for me, instantly now, it is no longer a practice, it just is. Now I see something, I'm like, oh, but look at that good thing. And everybody's like complaining about something, but I'm like, but wait. And everyone's like, how did you, like what? And I'm like, but it's there. You just have to look for it.
Right.
So I love that I've trained myself to be so naturally optimistic now. And I also love that I'm a really good listener. For as much as I constantly talk, I also am a very good listener when somebody needs me to just sit and listen. And I know when somebody needs me to give feedback and when somebody just needs me to listen. And then about my job, what I love about the work that I do, I love that I've been able to take my personal pain and turn it into purpose. So taking the pain that I went through, going blind and being bullied and dealing with depression, and making it a positive, powerful, purposeful thing for other people.
Fantastic. So I've talked to a few men. They weren't as enlightened as the men in this room. And they were sort of like, why does it International Women's Day? Why do we gotta have one of those? That's how they sounded. Or at least that's how they sounded in my head. Ladies, can you talk to me about why days like this are significant and why they're important? Anyone feel free to jump in.
I will.
Okay.
I think it's important to talk about the history of this day. So in 1908, here in New York City, 15,000 women marched through the streets to demand for less working hours, better pay, and the right to vote. And that started a movement globally even that throughout the years in 1917, women in Russia had a slogan called less war, more bread, being able to demand the World War I be ended. We saw the United Nations adopt International Women's Day officially in 1975, but the US really didn't carry that through, even though the rest of the world did. And I have to say that 3 years ago, actually,
Women's March led a global strike on March 8th. Some of you might remember it. But me and 11 other women were actually arrested in Columbus Circle protesting the rights for equality. But it really helped to light the spark in reclaiming this day back. Right. Because especially, you know, we do have Mother's Day, which is great, but if you're not a mom, if you're a young woman, or if you are just wanting to celebrate your right to exist in this world, to be able to have space, take up space, use your voice, it's so powerful to be able to celebrate that and not have all of the weight that can come with that while we are trying to gain that equity along the way. And it's even worse if you are a woman of color. So it's really important that we're having this space even now, because I've lived here almost 10 years, and International Women's Day was never really a thing here in New York, and we've seen over the last few years us really taking up space, and not just this day, this entire month, saying, you know what, we deserve to be here, we deserve to be celebrated, and we make up half of the population of the world. So in our demands for equality, just like our ancestors did, it's important for us to pick that torch up and carry it. And that's why it's so important that we're all here today and just celebrating, but to also keep this momentum throughout the rest of the month and really throughout the rest of the year as we continue to advocate for ourselves in our workplaces, in our schools, in our communities.
Retweet.
Drop the mic.
Gallop like that.
He's like, I am sitting up and I am listening.
Here's a okay.
Like, she has got it.
Lana, you're having the best few years, aren't you? Yeah, To All the Boys, huge franchise on Netflix, as we talked about earlier, and it's been a game changer for you as well. Can you walk me through how that show has impacted your life and how your character, Lara Jean, she sees the world through, quote, a filter of hearts and flowers, as you said in the past. You have said that. I want to know, one, how that character has impacted your life, and two, are you as optimistic as she is about our world? Please say yes.
Yes.
Okay,
No,
good.
I think that, gosh, I mean, To All the Boys has changed pretty much every aspect of my life except for my close friends and family, who have become even more of an amazing support system. I think there's been so many amazing things that I've been able to do because of it, like be here today. But that doesn't, you know, that being said, there's a downside to your life changing very, very quickly. And you give up certain things, and then you get a lot, but there is a real downside to that. And I had to learn very quickly, like, you know, who you can trust and where you need to put your energy. And, you know, that being said, Lara Jean has taught me that no matter how much your life changes, like, if you like stay and simmer in your own softness, and you're kind to yourself, and you're soft to yourself, and you're kind and soft to others, and you believe in the power of love, and you choose every day to be optimistic. And that's way harder than, like, being angry and being upset and scared is way easier than being optimistic every day. You have to make that active choice, like we're talking about. And Lara Jean has taught me that, you know, and she's taught me that the world is so beautiful, and you don't have to get wrapped up in all the scary crap that's out there right now. You know, you can choose to look at it with love and beauty, and that's basically what I've learned playing Lara Jean. I mean, I could talk about it forever, but I think that she's made me a better person, hands down.
You traveled to Vietnam with Michelle Obama.
Sure did. That was crazy.
Casual. What was that experience like for you?
Oh my God, it was insane. Like, I was so stressed because I was just stressed about how do I greet her? Like, do I hug? Do I hug her? But I don't think I should touch her because of Secret Service. I don't want to come off as a threat, but do I give her, like I was so stressed out about it, but
What did you end up
ultimately,
doing?
I froze and I was real still, and then I just let her, and then she gave me a hug.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm not touching her, I'm not touching her, don't, you know, but it was amazing, and I was there because I was adopted from Vietnam, and I have a scholarship that puts Vietnamese girls through 4 years of a high school education, and she is the Girls Opportunity Alliance, which is all about educating young women, and so
And I
we
want you
kinda
to
partnered
slow
together.
down. You all, with each new job or opportunity she gets, she uses a portion of that to pay for girls in Vietnam to go to high school. That is a big deal,
Thank you.
you know?
I mean, as we all know, education, knowledge is power, and you give a girl, like you open up a door like about this much and they will kick it down every single time.
Yep.
And I was so lucky to be given the opportunity to have an education and to be here, and to any dream that I have, like with a heart, I can go and achieve it, and I know these girls can too, and they're fantastic. So yeah, it's my baby, my pride and joy.
Molly, watching you on YouTube is so much fun. And I'm not the only one who agrees. You have more than 2 million people who tune in to see you talk about everything from having a disability to dating. I know that you've said that you're going to be less jaded in 2020. And you've also said that you're finding love this year. Our panel is sponsored by Bumble.
Well, since it's sponsored by Bumble, shout out, you're not accessible. I have to say it.
Oh.
So I'm not afraid to throw shade if it's necessary.
Oh, okay, well,
For equality.
okay.
That's what I'm saying. Raise your voice. Raise your voice. We need
Okay.
accessibility.
Okay,
Because everybody does deserve to find love.
okay. Do you want to delve a little deeper?
So for somebody like me, I have to use a program called VoiceOver.
Okay.
And apps are only accessible if the app chooses to be accessible. Apple has done as much as they can. It's up to individual apps. So Tinder is accessible and Facebook dating is accessible. Hinge is not, Bumble is not, Coffee Meets Bagel is not. So we have a lot less opportunity.
Okay. How's dating going?
Not good.
Okay.
But I've said it, being positive, I'm finding love in 2020, I'm putting it in the universe. And I'm a big believer in vision boards and positivity and affirmations and seeing it and believing in it. And the last time I was in a relationship, for like 6 months, I told my friends, I'm gonna have a boyfriend this July.
Okay.
And they were like, what? And I was like, he's a brain boyfriend right now, but he's gonna be a real boyfriend in July.
Okay.
And we dated for 2.5 years, starting in July. So I'm saying it, 2020, I will find love, and so therefore it's gonna happen.
All right. You clearly are not afraid and have 0 Fs to give. Thank you very much.
It's kind of what you need to be a YouTuber.
Right. How are you using your platform to fight against bias or challenge assumptions about the visually impaired throughout the world? I know you've called yourself a disability queen, hey, but talk to me about how you're using that platform and your unique worldview to help shape this conversation and the way that people can navigate through this world.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is, and clearly, I'm like just unafraid to say it. If it needs to be said, I'll say it. And I will call people out, and I will say when I think something's wrong. And to the chagrin of some of my team members who are like, you're burning bridges, don't do that, they might pay you one day. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to be paid by somebody who doesn't believe in equality. You know, I don't care if I'm gonna like I just made a video of crying for 15 minutes about how awful Uber and Lyft are to people with disabilities. You know what, like talking to them behind the scenes, all the connections I can make to them, they don't do anything, you know? And so yeah, I'm gonna call it out to my 2 million followers, because maybe when all of us call them out, they'll do something, you know? And so I'm kind of just not afraid to stand up and say something that needs to be said, and empower other people to do the same. Because our voices as disabled people have been silenced. We were segregated for years. You know, if I was born 5 or 6 years earlier than I was, I would have been taken away from my family, not given an education. And these things are still happening in many countries around the world. and are still even happening in North America at times. And it takes people, breaking barriers and sharing their stories and speaking out and not being afraid to actually make that change.
Thank you. You've given us all a lot of food for thought, so thank you for that. Thank you for opening my eyes. Thank you. Tiff, can we talk about that name, Tiff McFierce? It's the best DJ name ever.
My real name's Tiffany McPherson, so I just chopped it off and remixed it, so it made sense. I did a DJ remix on my name.
I like that. You're like a DJ meets life coach. And again, I've been on your social media, and you like to drop some real gems on Twitter. I want to quote one of them, and then I want you to break it on down for the crowd. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You recently posted, quote, "Never expect those that settle for crumbs to understand why you bake your own cake from scratch."
Wow. I definitely tweeted that like 2 days ago.
Let me fix my wig. You snatched it. Again, let me say that again so we can all hear it. Mm-hmm. Never expect those that settle for crumbs to understand why you bake your own cake from scratch. Break it down, Tiff.
I mean, I feel like I've went through things where people were just like, how are you going to do that? Why are you going to do that? How's that going to work? That's not going to work. Girl, I think you should just stick to, I used to dance professionally, and I did that for, a good 30 years of my life. And it was just, even that, when I was doing that, that wasn't enough, You should go get a real job. You have a degree, so do this with it. So then when I went into DJing, and now I musically direct, I musically curate sounds, I'm a sonic storyteller, and people didn't think that that would work. And I stopped telling people, which I didn't before a lot. I believe in you'll know what I'm doing when it comes out and when it's done. But when I would tell certain people that I thought I can just share with, and they were doing that, and it's no judgment or even shade to them, but it was just you're not gonna understand why I'm gonna bake this cake from scratch and go find the ingredients, and I don't know how to bake, but figure out how to bake, because it's just a different type of mentality. It really is that, rest in peace, that Mamba mentality. It's I'm going to find a way to make this happen. It also is important to me to let young girls of color know that you have to make sure that you find a way to make things happen. Yeah. There are a lot of illusionary constructs that are very real in how it's set up, but it's illusionary because that's just not how humans really are. Everybody has an opportunity to do things. Everybody should be granted opportunities to do things. And it's okay if you're not an entrepreneur or that's not your thing, because you need somebody to run the company. You need someone to have your back. You need someone. Those are the people that are the most important, because they know your schedule. They know, where you're supposed to be at. They know how to do things that you really necessarily shouldn't be doing. So that for me was just kind of one of those things that don't waste your time trying to tell someone your dreams. Go chase those dreams. And don't even chase them. Get still and let them come to you, and just do what you got to do.
Wow. Yes.
Hashtag Tiff Talk.
Brianne, since we're talking about baking cakes.
I love food analogies.
You love food analogies. I love that you call yourself a chef-tivist. What exactly, I know, right, Lana? A chef-tivist.
We can make a dictionary up here with all of our words.
I have shirts.
What exactly does that mean?
So a chef-tivist is somebody that uses food to be able to talk about social impact issues or being able to change the world. And what I love about this is food is at the intersect of so many of these issues, whether we're talking about race, gender equality, even just looking at the industry itself. what the backbone of the industry is. It's usually women, people of color, people that have been formerly incarcerated, immigrants. But also, I think there's a food movement happening right now where we're understanding even just how much our food choices impact the environment and the power that we have in being able to choose more sustainable ingredients and being able to eat in ways that really rejuvenate instead of take away the resources that Mother Nature gave us. But you know, what I love most about this whole platform is that food breaks barriers. When I walk into a room and if I say I'm an activist, I might get mixed reviews, but if I say I'm a chef, people are, oh my God, did you watch this movie? Or did you see this like episode of Food Network? Or I love making this, I'm obsessed, whatever. Food has that effect, and it is quite literally something essential to life, to humanity, and to really be able to look at what food plays a role in especially different communities, in gathering people together, in being able to nourish and feed. It's such a beautiful way to really break those barriers down. So whether you're trying to have a conversation with a family member or a coworker, especially around the holidays, it's a great way to be able to bring something and say, yeah, you know, this is actually plant-based because I swapped out apple cider vinegar, nutritional yeast for cheese, but it's actually important when you look at dairy farming and blah, blah, blah. Like, now all of a sudden it's a segue to be able to talk about climate issues or what have you. But one of the things I also really just love about cooking is being able to just share a piece of yourself with somebody. I think in this era of especially social media and, you know, everything's very digital, but to be able to like make a meal for somebody. Just last night I had a friend over. It was like, where do you want to meet? I'm like, come over, like let me cook for you. Mm-hmm. To have more of those human connections is so essential right now, especially as we are relying on more digital technology, to be able to hone it back in and really just have real conversations, to be able to have use food as that way to be able to connect and build bridges, right? It's so powerful, and I really do, that's my organizing strategy this year, quite frankly. I think it's a way for everybody to just easily get behind, and not just thinking about the way our food's prepared, but also thinking about who's preparing the food too. It's important to be looking at the structures of the food industry, farmers, you know, servers, et cetera, and being able to also respect the people that are part of this industry and making sure that they also have equal rights. I'm hungry now. I'm so hungry.
And I'm inviting myself over to your house.
Oh, all of you. Like,
okay.
seriously.
Yeah,
So
did you hear
serious.
that? She just said it. We can come over.
Yeah, you know, in my New York City apartment. Like,
We can fit.
We can make it work. We can make it work.
Dre, I want to talk to you about Smile on Me. It helps young girls navigate adolescence. They're changing bodies, they're changing emotional states, all of the above. You too like to drop gems on Twitter, and you recently wrote, "One day I'll win a Nobel Peace Prize." Hashtag.
You saw that?
I did see that.
I have like 0 followers.
And you said hashtag dreaming big. I'm assuming you would want to win this Nobel Peace Prize through the work that you're doing with young girls. Can you talk to me about why?
Yeah, I'm so surprised that someone saw that. I just like tweet out into the darkness sometimes. But no, I think, you know, dreaming big for me has been one of my things I want to challenge myself on more. But for that, you know, the last couple of years, one of my biggest dreams is to build bathrooms in refugee camps in impoverished countries. You know, I think we take for granted getting able to get up and go to the bathroom, especially when it comes to hygiene and safety. A lot of girls and women sometimes don't even go to the bathroom because they're afraid of getting sexually assaulted, and so they hold it in, and like a lot of health problems, you know, obviously come from that. So for that, I really want to be a part of, however I can be a part of building those and like making that space a safe space for people to be clean and hygienic and be able to go to the bathroom. I mean, my work with Smile on Me right now, you know, I really am so honored to get to work with all these girls throughout New York City and to be able to lift them up and encourage them. And I'm hoping to continue to do that and grow and like really have my hands in all the baskets to help young people, help young girls, girls of color around the world, because it's really needed, and I still need it as a woman as I'm growing up. I'm like, Tiff was encouraging me yesterday. I was like, just being in this space is just so like uplifting, and I think it's important as we come together, like I always talk about like football, right? Like we come together in the huddle, we find out the play, and then we go out and we make an impact, and that's what this is right now.
This
and
is
it's
the
needed.
huddle.
This is the huddle. We're huddling
Yes.
up. So yeah.
Yes, I love this huddle. Okay, really quickly, because we have to open it up for questions, but I want each of you to tell me the best piece of advice you've received or shared about life's challenges and how you tackle them, and then we'll open it up to the audience to have a few questions, and then we're going to have to end our party. Best piece of advice about how you handle life's challenges.
My dad always tells me greatness is coming. He tells that to me all the time. Like every morning I get a text, greatness is coming. But you know
Greatness is
what?
coming.
It's-
Greatness is coming.
Yeah, like it keeps me optimistic. It gets me excited for every single day because I have no idea what the day is going to hold, but it's probably going to be epic, you know? So that's my best advice I've gotten.
Okay, Tiff, you really quickly, because the audience has some questions.
My aunt told me everywhere you go, there you go. So it then got me to realize that nothing outside of me was going to give me happiness. Because everywhere I was going, everything always showed up with me. Any problem, any joy, any whatever. So reaching for things, I in then turn gave myself my own advice of reaching outward for things would never be what would fulfill me. Looking in is the only way.
I heard a message at church once that said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I think for me, like staying ready, like taking care of myself, making sure I'm taking care of others so that when opportunities arise, I'm ready to like jump in.
Miss Delgado.
A woman in Kenya actually told me once that when you numb your pain, you also numb your joy. And it's something that's I've really carried with me, especially during difficult times when you do want to tune out or you want to just numb it out, right? It's important to feel through those emotions because when you are ignoring your shadow sides, as we call them, then you also deprive yourself the feeling of being able to embrace when you do have those big accomplishments or when your life is shifting. So it's just important to really feel through every piece of the process, even the difficult ones. And some days are harder than others, but it's really important to just be in touch with yourself and allow yourself to be able to evolve with the process and be kind to yourself in that process too.
And Miss Burke.
Yeah, when I was in grade 10, I was at the School for the Blind, and I had the most boring history teacher in the world. But he said something that honestly changed my life, and it had nothing to do with history. He said, if you can't accept something in life, change it. And if you can't change it, you need to learn to accept it. And my whole life, I felt like society was telling me I need to be cured. As a disabled woman, my life would be better if I was able-bodied. But that's not possible. It is impossible for me to get my sight back. And so I needed to learn to accept it. And by accepting it, I was so much more free.
Yeah.
And I was so much more empowered. So whatever it is, because everybody has something in their life, whether it's their weight, their status, wherever they're at in life, if you can't currently change it, learn to accept it, because it's the most freeing thing, and acceptance comes from within. It doesn't come from society.
Amen. All right. Questions. I think we have time for about maybe one or two. So make them good. Okay, there's someone in the back that's doing this with the finger wave. Yes. She's got a great smile. She looks very happy to be here.
Thank you. That's so nice of you. So I'm currently writing a research paper, a 20-page thesis on just all of this. And one of the questions that I've been just personally thinking about is what happens that, I'm trying to find a way to articulate it, but you know how when we're little girls and we have just this confidence and love for ourselves that nobody can change? If you could go back and sit down with yourself before you started being influenced by the media and before you had a care in the world about what you looked like or how you acted, what would you tell that version of yourself? Like if you had a piece of advice to talk to that little girl version of you, what would you say?
I would say the number one person in your life will always be you.
Yes.
I actually talk to her like often, and
What do you say to her?
people don't talk about this, but like going in and talking to your inner child and things like reparenting, and you start to learn how important that is, because we really are like little people in big bodies. So we talked about that yesterday. And, you can see how many people walk around with a lot of stuff on their shoulders, bags that you didn't even pack. So I tell my little girl all the time, I tell her she's safe. That makes me emotional. I tell her that she's loved. I tell her I see her, she's heard. I tell her to go play. It's so important. And there's different stages of me that I talk to. There's like 3-year-old Tiff, there's like 8-year-old Tiff, 16-year-old Tiff. And when I need to, like, I tap into that.
Tiff, girl.
I love that. That was so beautiful.
Whew, you're going to make this waterproof mascara work today, aren't you? Whew. Okay, yes.
So when we started, you actually mentioned that you're learning to love yourself again and you're growing. So one thing I struggle with is I have a platform where I want to encourage people, but when I don't feel great, I feel almost like an imposter telling people to feel good or encouraging them because I feel horrible. So I just want you to kind of maybe talk to that, because I think a lot of us have stories to tell, but we're afraid when we're not feeling our best self. And how are you growing through that?
What's your name? What's your name?
Oh, Lisette.
Lisette. I just want to
Dre
say,
and Brianne, I want you two to answer this
Yeah, no,
question.
'cause,
Dre,
like,
you go first.
my
and then
heart is
Brianne.
like pumping out of my chest
Yes.
when you just said that. I think the best thing you can always do is share how you're feeling right now. That can be, and I'm gonna cry, the most encouraging thing, because people go through so many things, and I think when you're honest with your struggles, when you're not hiding your flaws or scars, can uplift people more than a fake smile or an encouraging word. So I would encourage you to share your struggles, because people are going through so many things, and for you to share that, I think would be very, very helpful. Yeah.
Yes. Brianne, you and I were speaking earlier in the green room about things that you like to do on a daily basis to get you back to your highest self. Could you share some of those tips with the audience really quickly?
Yes, I totally feel you, by the way. I definitely went through that too, where all of a sudden, I'm a chef, I'm always behind the scenes, and now all of a sudden it's like people are asking me for answers and how to navigate situations. It can be very overwhelming. But one of the things I do, a grounding exercise I'm going to share with you all. It's free to do. If you have a phone, you have the voice memo app on your phone. I leave daily voice memos to myself every day. So I meditate. I do some breath work, and then I meditate for about 10 minutes, and then I just talk for 10 minutes, and I let whatever inner child voice is coming out of me, whether it's my fear voice, my lack voice, my anxiety voice, my imposter syndrome voice, which comes out a lot. To be able to just talk it through and then give space for that voice. Like I said earlier, you have to be able to allow yourself to feel everything, otherwise you numb other pieces of that process. So to be able to just ground yourself in talking about whatever's on your mind, and then being able to say, okay, I gave myself space for that, and now I can go about my day equipped. But it's just such an easy thing I've been doing the last 3 months, honestly, and it's changed my life. I feel like I've done years of therapy just from simply doing this. And it's also a great way for those of you that can't access therapy, or maybe you're not able to have these resources and tools to do these healing retreats and everything, to be able to just bring it back to just using the technology we have and being able to help aid in this mental health crisis we're dealing with as a country in the world right now, especially young girls. So this is a great way to use your iPhone to be able to recharge yourself instead of deplete yourself, right?
Yeah, talking to yourself goes a long way.
Yes.
As I will say, as a weird person, talking to yourself is really great. Yeah.
Lana, really quickly, any tips that you have, or okay, we
Wait,
can.
no, I do. I just thought of something.
Good. And then we have one more question over
yes.
here. Yes.
I will make it super duper brief.
Okay.
Mrs. Obama, she talks about imposter syndrome, and she talks about, like, she was saying that she's like, oh, I'm the first, like, all the time. She'd be the first lady and be like, wait, why? I'm here, like, right now in this house. But she says that you need to, when you have that, like, take up space and know that you deserve to be here and take up that space. And so I have that all the time. Like, even being here, I'm like, should I even be on this stage? Like, but then I'm like, but stop it, Lana.
Right.
Because you know what? You're awesome. You're great. You have things to say. They might come out all scrambled, but you have things to say. And yet it's like, talking to yourself, exactly what everyone's saying. It's just like, you gotta be your own cheerleader, man.
Positive affirmations.
Positive affirmation. The words have come out beautifully. So, yes. Hi,
everyone.
how are you?
Good, I'm great, thank you. My name is Deandra Barnwell. So part of the Bumble messaging encourages women to make the first move, which really breaks down the barriers of traditional gender roles, where it tells women we have to wait, whether it's waiting for a man to make the first move to ask you on a date, making the first move in business, or whatever it is. So my question to all of you is, when have you made the first move and it has turned out to your benefit?
Ooh, I like that one.
Wait.
All right, lightning round.
Wait.
Because they're saying we have to wrap, so lightning round. When have you made the first move and it's worked out to your benefit? Lana.
My boyfriend of 4 or 5 years now, I made the first move because I'm a genius, and I spent the whole night talking to him, and then we got separated, but I knew that he was someone that I wanted to have in my life. So at the end of the night, I ran up to him and I did the annoying tapping on the shoulder, hi. And he turned around and I said, hey, you know what? There was this joke that I thought of and I would love to tell you, but then I forgot it. So if I could get your number, I'll text it to you later when I inevitably remember. And it has ultimately been the greatest move because he's my best friend. So you guys feel free to take that move because it works.
I hope you came up with a good joke to tell him.
I know.
The pressure would have been on.
What's that?
That joke, you would have had to come up with a really good one.
It was, what do you call a pile of kittens? A meowton.
We are not worthy. A meowton. That was good. That was good, girl. I would have waited for that one, too.
I'm gonna take that.
Tiff, you made the first move and it worked out. Boom.
I made the first move when I was working at the Garden and I told them that I was interested in being on the musical team. I said it to them, and then he said, I didn't know you were interested. And I was like, I am, actually, here's my deck. I was like, these are all the things that I was ready. And that's how I got hired.
Yeah, be ready.
Dre.
Yeah, my first move was betting on myself, packing all my bags, and literally moving to New York without knowing a soul, and I'm still here. So
On a billboard, she's
on a billboard.
Brianne.
Walking into every restaurant I wanted to work in with my knife bag and saying, give me 10 minutes and tell me if I have a job.
That's good.
Yes! Ooh, I'm so hyped right now. I'm about to make a move. Molly.
Yes, I had 64,000 subscribers, and I walked up to Casey Neistat, who had over 8 million, and I said, you want to collaborate? And he did.
Okay, I don't know about you all, but I've had the time of my life. Can we please clap it up? Lana, Tiff, Dre, Brianna, Molly, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for all those quotable moments. Make the first move, people. Make that first move. Thank you.